Okay? Good evening, everyone. This is the story of G. It's a true story. G is a real name, and it's a non-verbal autistic kid, okay, who finally finds rest in a very particular and special place. This particular place, Hood Snoezelen. It's a multisensory environment built for people with intellectual disability, built entirely with untreated wood. That means that that wood has no paintings, no chemicals, nothing. This is the scenario. This is the numbers and data about disability in the world. In the world, at the moment, there are 1.3 billion of people with disability. 2.6 of them are people with I'm sorry about that. Very sorry about that. There are 2.6 people with intellectual disabilities. This is the scenario about the world. This is the scenario about Italy. In Italy, at the moment, there are people with disability which are constantly increasing. We are talking about 3.1 million of people in Italy with disability. That means 5.2% of the population. This is a particular situation, especially in schools. In schools, in the last 5 years, we had 75,000 people with disability increasing year by year. That means plus 25% of the population of pupils. Nearly 40% of the population of pupils in the school are with the intellectual disability. So that's where we wanted to spread and start to build our Wood Snoezelen. Actually, we are SenseAble Wood. We design and deliver multisensory environment made with untreated wood for people with intellectual disability. And that's what we do. In the next 5 years, we will have a particular condition. We will have a lot of space available in schools. I'm talking about, this is the most recent data, I'm talking about 2 million of square meters. That means something like 42,000 of classrooms, which is a huge amount of space, which will now be available because of the decreasing of the natality and the less amount of pupils. So that's where we want to start with our business. So we have a problem. Number of people with disability is increasing. Space for inclusion, not so much yet, because we are proposing our solution, which is a Wood Snoezelen, which is the combination of a Snoezelen, which is a multisensory space for people with disability, the use of untreated wood and the benefits of the essence that are spread from the wood material, the ICF protocol, which is a protocol which is internationally used to classify and monitoring people with disability, and the result is the Wood Snoezelen, okay, which is a multisensory environment for people with intellectual disability entirely made of untreated wood. This is the story of the Wood Snoezelen. That one is where we all started. That's my son. It's my beloved 14-year-old kid who's got a very, very rare genetic disease. And that's for me where it all started. And a few years ago, I decided to dedicate a part of my job to make research for people with disabilities. So the idea of the Wood Snoezelen became a research project funded by university and other companies, and the research project became a prototype design, and the prototype design became a construction, and the construction became actually a room. It was opened at the end of February of this year, okay, 28th of February, and it's based in Lozzo Atestino in a primary school in the province of Padua. And it's used. And every single part of the room is dedicated to a sensory stimulation. So we have the visual space, the tactile space, and also the calm space when you can find calm to yourself and relax. Okay. After we finished to design and build that, there's been a lot of talk about this room. All the press release and all the papers, the scientific papers, that's been published during the 2 months of the fabrication. So basically, the wood Snoezelen is a place where the environment becomes a therapeutic device, where you can find self-regulation for your senses, a stress arousal, and a sensory regulation and learning, also for people with not so bad disabilities. Actually, you can build your own wood Snoezelen because we based all the design, all the detailed design on modular and prefabricated components, false ceilings, walls, cabinets, walls, floors, and so on. And so you can decide how to build your own wood Snoezelen depending on which kind of sense you want to stimulate. For example, okay, this is an example how you can assemble a wood Snoezelen using some different part of the old components. All the wood you see here, it's untreated wood, larch, fir, cedar, and a bit. So we want to start from Veneto. In Veneto, there are more than 4,000 schools. Then we want to develop the company, develop the market in all Italy. That means 57,000 schools. And then we want to move on and go into educational center schools, nursing home, rehabilitation center, staff well-being, wellness, and every kind of building and occupation that can need for some rest, relaxing, especially for people with intellectual disabilities. Okay, so that's the revenue model. We are going to move, thinking about moving on about after the design, build, and deliver, moving towards the ICF training, and of course the licensing, production, and the project certification. Roughly, we have calculated that the cost of the first wood Snoezelen that we built was something like 60,000 euros. We are going to trying to reach in the next couple of years a profit margin of between 10 and 20%. But of course, that depends on how many wood Snoezelen we're going to build. That's the team. All of us are expert or even more expert about the design of inclusion spaces, school, hood components, and so on. And we have some partners, which are La Nostra Famiglia, Consorzio Legnano Veneto, and Bozza, which are 3 very expert companies about disabilities and production of wood, which are our company partners in the design and build phases. So that's it. That's the story of G, and we want to repeat that as much as possible again and again and again. Thank you so very much. È stata microfonata?
Seems like this is an extremely impactful opportunity. I'm curious if here in Italy or in the region, is there public funding to do this in schools, and how do you go about accessing that? I can imagine if a school is being renovated, they could be made part of the program, but if they have an empty classroom and there's a need, is there funding for them to do it, to build it?
Thanks for the question. The first one that we built actually is the first one and the only one at the moment, but I didn't say before, it's the only one in the world. You can find Snoezelen places, you can find woods places, but you cannot find a wood Snoezelen. That's the first one at all. So you can combine the use of untreated wood with the benefit of multisensory equipments. In that particular case, the principal of the school had the benefit of a PNRR funding. So he could find something like between 15 and 20,000 euros for the equipment, and all the rest of expenses were covered. In some cases, for example, in a private school in Verona, and in another school, we are in contact with them, and in another school here in the Veneto region, they asked us to have a sort of preliminary expenses to search for funding, either in the Veneto region or in the central administration in Rome. Basically, we think that since we are below the level of public works, which is below 150,000 K, you can have the direct
direct select?
They can select you directly. Okay, you don't go through a selection process for bigger amounts of money. I hope I answered. That's it. Thank you.